Humanity has been in a state of binary duality for millennia. The human machine, being analog, has a degree of tolerance built into it, but mechanical nature's oscillations between opposite polarities, black and white, right or left, us and them, thesis and antitheses, test the limits of our tolerance until it reaches its breaking point, where common sense and civility break down and humanity, divided and conquered, falls into the hell of intolerance, isolation, confusion, conflict, and suffering. All legacy systems based on the binary human 2.0 paradigm are in need of a critical update to a state-of-the-art trinary operating system, that of Triune Human 3.0. Part 1 of this video will explore the nature of Human 2.0. In Part 2, we will seek the path to Human 3.0. Part 3 will serve as a practical call to action, a 10 for Human 3.0. Because the challenges facing our world and its movers and shakers must be met by true human beings. A true human being is a triunity of Hume, Manas, and being. Hume relates to the body and brain of the third dimension. Manas suggests conscious heart-mind in the fifth dimension. And being refers to our true self, the consciousness, spirit, soul of the sixth dimension. United, these three elements constitute the triune self, tri meaning three, un meaning one, our true three-in-one nature, the spiritual nature of a three-in-one human being. Our spiritual nature pivots on the 0 point of our vital fourth dimensional energy, the creative fire and foundational forces behind the electric universe, and all we see and experience here on earth. Our true human nature is meant to be on earth as it is in heaven, as above, so below. In practice, the human condition below on earth is dominated by the mechanical nature of egos, which desire to exploit our vital energy and rule over us via the mechanical conditioning of binary duality, the unconscious oscillations in body and mind between dialectic phenomena including identification and attachment, craving and aversion, pleasure and pain, etc. Such dichotomies hypnotize our consciousness and make us ignorant of our innermost being. If we call the fifth dimension above X, the third dimension below Y, and the fourth dimension Z, then we can see how oscillations on the third and fifth dimension exist as a spiral in the fourth dimension. Of particular concern are the downward spirals of explosion and implosion. For instance, an explosion in temptation leads to an implosion through indulgence. It is through the duality of explosion and implosion on the downward spiral that egos drain us of our vitality, as it literally flows down and out. It is this downward flow of vital energy that is symbolized by tempting serpents throughout mythology. Be it the serpents in the Garden of Eden, or those tormenting the Israelites in the desert, temptation leads to the fall of Adam and Eve and of Satan. That downward-oriented serpent is the tail of Satan, indicating the direction indulgence takes us in, represented by the fall of the Tower of Babel. In Revelation, Satan's number is 666, the number of the beast and of a man. When our triune nature becomes fascinated with and dominated by binary mechanical nature, our consciousness falls into hypnosis and ignorance via the dialectic oscillations of ego, and we fall into the downward spiral of 666, beginning with our conscious heart-mind, which is to us as water is to a fish, but falls from the upper fifth dimension to the lower fifth, the hell of suffering caused by unconscious and subconscious ego heart-mind. Similarly, drained of our vitality, we become as a tree deprived of its soil, suffering physical and mental illness and premature mortality in our three-dimensional body and brain. It is our innermost being who is equipped to handle such suffering. But if instead we are a Mark 666 human machine, we are, in truth, not being. We are merely a mechanical mind, body, and ego personality going through the motions. A beast marked 666 that suffers aimlessly in the wilderness, precisely because it has fallen to mechanicity and not being. To be or not to be, that is the question posed to us in Shakespeare's Hamlet. For we are asleep, fallen under the spell of the I of our false self. That is the universal condition of Human 2.0. Human 2.0, Mark 666, has given rise to the Antichrist of the book of Revelations, which is not an individual, but the scourge of modern materialist science, including the fields of neuropsychology and psychopharmacology. Disciplines that, in their dogmatic devotion to empiricism and obsession with the physical brain, manage to mask the surface-level symptoms, but remain blind to the actual causes of human suffering in the infernal dimensions. Just as materialist science, trapped beneath the glass ceiling of physical perception and mechanical thinking, remains ignorant of the true metaphysical science and higher dimensional foundations of reality, resulting in the narrow perspective of Human 2.0. But even physics knows how narrow a band the visible spectrum of light is, and that three-dimensional reality is literally a matter of perception. Thanks to optics, everything from the camera obscura to camera and projector lenses, we know that the loss of a dimension in the act of projection creates an image with a fixed perspective that is less real. From the perspective of self-evident experiential knowledge, we know that no image of a place holds a candle to being there. In other words, a higher dimensional perspective affords us a deeper perception of reality. Materialist science refuses to acknowledge that it sees the world through the binary lens of ego, which, like photography and any mechanical process, results in reduced perception. The subjective machinations of mind creates delusions of knowing based on illusory perspectives. Egoic perspectives that look to assert and seek validation by projecting their two-dimensional theories onto three- and four-dimensional reality, conflicting not only with objective truth, but many other subjective perspectives. The conscious arts of metaphysical science seek deeper perceptions of reality, beyond the inverted fifth-dimensional mechanical delusions of ego consciousness, subconsciousness, and unconscious delusions of 3D reality. Through the fourth and fifth dimensional worlds of formation, the sixth dimensional world of creation, where all experience of reality is created in consciousness and experienced by the being, all the way to the seventh dimension and beyond, where the archetypal basis of all reality exists in a state of pure unformed essence, the undrafted blueprints of all phenomena experienced in the dimensions below. When we consider the gap separating Human 2.0 from the true self and obscuring our conscious access to the creative human spirit, it becomes self-evident Human 3.0 is the missing link. The arch and the arc we must seek to bridge the gap our binary mechanical nature has divided and conquered us with, used as the basis to hypnotize our consciousness via the eye of the false self and rule over our being and all of humanity. We can also clearly see the shift into unconsciousness that took place long ago in humanity that created more than just a gap, but a rift which cut Human 2.0 off from direct experiential knowledge of the supernal worlds. Meaning the rational hominid and ego personality knows only physical reality and the infernal dimensions of suffering. This is what is meant by humanity being cast out of paradise into the wilderness of individual and collective suffering, of exploitation and excuses as we externalize the causes of our suffering, which is the way of the fallen rational hominid, the animal ego of Human 2.0. Fallen into despair, from depression to anxiety and everything in between, humanity has fallen from grace, like the fallen angels, into the matrix of binary mechanical duality. Allegories that materialist science, with its literal mechanical mind, conveniently dismisses. Previously, we explained the metaphysical scientific basis for the biblical allegory in the book of Genesis, in which humanity is said to have been cast out of paradise into the wilderness of suffering, which is analogous to the allegory of falling asleep in the matrix of mechanical binary duality. The matrix of unconscious, subconscious, ego, heart-mind, that we were called on by Carl Jung to make conscious, lest it rule our life and we call it fate. The matrix of suffering that Jordan Peterson challenges us to voluntarily accept and then strive to overcome. For we are marked with the number of the adversary and the beast in our heart, mind, and body, which marks us as beastmen, a race of binary human 2.0 not being, shackled within the box of materialist science and neuropsychology. So how can we shift to being free of our binary dualism and mechanical shackles? We begin by being aware of and working with whatever free consciousness is available to us, embracing the metaphysical science of the fourth dimension and beyond, consciously applying the upward spirals of expansion and synthesis, such that an expansion of consciousness leads to a synthesis of what we seek: inspiration and imagination, intuition and innovation, comprehension and reconciliation, holistic solutions and universal truths. Self-evident experiential knowledge based on metaphysical science, harnessing zero-point energy to expand our free consciousness and synthesize what we seek. Upward progression on the Alm of Life, the analogous ultimate methodology by which all phenomena come to be or not to be. To free ourselves from the prison of the infernal dimensions and know the supernal dimensions, heaven and hell. This is Jacob's ladder, that requires we descend to the next lower rung before we can ascend to the next higher rung. And why Carl Jung said no tree can grow to heaven unless its roots reach down to hell. It is that tree of life traversed by the messengers of the gods, be it Ratatoskr or Hermes Mercury, whose staff is adorned with twin serpents intertwined, reminding us that while the serpent of the tree of knowledge of good and evil tempts our creative energies to flow down and out, to save the Israelites from the tempting serpents in the desert, Moses raised a serpent of brass upon his staff, indicating our creative energy should flow up an atom, Adam. Just as Asclepius and Hermes Tot, Buddha and Anantashisha, the feathered serpent Quetzalcoatl and the fiery phoenix, the Pentecostal fire atop the apostles' heads, and the halo about the heads of divine beings, the illuminated chakras, and the lit menorah. Speaking of the lit menorah, there are 3 candles in the center, 6 on the sides, and 9 in total, intimating the magnificence of the 3, 6, and 9 Tesla told us would give us the key to the universe. Since we already know Human 2.0 is marked as 666, to raise our faculties from 6s to 9s, we work with the Alm of Life as triune human beings. 6 plus 3 is 9. The revolution of 369 begins by comprehending the interplay between the two, and that the intermediary is the number 3, the triunity that reconciles the illusions of binary duality. This is the state-of-the-art Human 3.0, an upright 9 in heart, mind, and body, so as to be a conscious triune human being, Hume, Manas, and being. 9 is 1 shy of a perfect 10, which is, of course, the reconciliation of 1 and 0, and to the Romans was an X or a cross. That X is a symbol for a perfect vessel, like Noah's Ark resting atop Mount Ararat. A similarly shaped vessel known as the Holy Grail is also a symbol for the perfect union between masculine and feminine, and the covenant between God and man. Like the Ark and the sarcophagus of the pharaonic godmen of Egypt's Golden Age, said covenant between God and man is said to be hermetically sealed. The key to any ark is the arch, the Trinity, that can make one into a tri-God man, which is precisely the meaning of Hermes Trismegistus, also known as Tot, both of whom hold a staff as a prominent symbol associated with their source of power, like all great magicians, from Moses to Gandalf. With Hermes, the circle atop the cross is formed by the serpents rising up the staff. With Tot, it is the Ankh, related to eternal life, and the continuity of life contained in DNA. In 3 dimensions, this shape represents the 9-sided cubic stone, which is the legendary philosophical stone of the alchemists that transmutes the lead of Human 2.0 into the gold of Human 3.0, and is the ubiquitous obelisk we find all over the world. A Human 3.0 suffering mechanical nature via the Alm of Life connects 3D body and brain through conscious heart-mind to their 6D being, who is the link to the 7D plus creator spirit, who art in heaven. They then direct their creative force up an atom in toward the art of being, so that they may be inspired and their creative energy ignited. Thus, a triune human being done via the state-of-the-art consciousness of their true self expresses through the focused cooperation of their mechanical nature, the gifts of their innermost, brought into being on earth as it is in heaven. The rapid descent of the fire and light of inspiration and insight has always been allegorized as lightning, striking the earth from on high. It is the practical experience of Buddhists who receive insight in meditation, and is referred to directly in the Quran as the means of inspiration. In countless mythologies, be it Zeus or Odin, the All-Father who art in heaven, and of course Thor, who descends to earth and wields the lightning via the hammer of Mjolnir. Art and Thor become Arthur, and Mjolnir is Excalibur, the sword in the stone, related to the Lady of the Lake, the very symbol we see immortalized in the monogram of J.R.R. Tolkien, and within the universal symbol of the trident. These days, this symbol is most ubiquitous in our Bluetooth connections that allow many different devices to communicate. A symbol of the Christ connection to the Trinity and humanity, the Pax Romana, or Chi Rho, appeared to Emperor Constantine by divine revelation to use to connect the whole of the Roman Empire. A Christian symbol adopted by Roman Catholicism as a means to give an XP boost to Europe amidst the Dark Ages. The Christic power of death and rebirth that gave rise to the Renaissance, the Enlightenment, and the modern era. Not only a largely Catholic Europe, but a Christian world. It is the symbol of devout Christianity since the time of Christ, who said, "I will teach you to be fishers of men." It is the Alpha and the Omega, the rune Attlas, which comes at last in the Futhark. The Alpha and Omega who art in heaven, who holds the key to the Ark of Deliverance via the state-of-the-art Alpha Human 3.0 at last. As above, so below, conscious human arts at last. That is, Attlas Conscious Arts. Previously, we showed how binary duality causes the fall into Human 2.0, and the trinary paradigm needed to evolve to Human 3.0, but mechanical nature doesn't give up without a fight. Many extraordinary individuals throughout human history possessing triune human abilities have fallen under the spell of mechanical nature, becoming powerful agents of the matrix of oppression. Look at the binary tribalism in the Middle East, the Ukraine, or on display in the US presidential campaign. The forces of mechanical nature have taken control of every aspect of human civilization and successfully divided and conquered humanity. Geopolitically, via such multilateral groups as the World Economic Forum and European Union. Financially, via institutions such as the International Monetary Fund and World Bank. Technocratically, via social media and tech companies' incessant pursuit of artificial intelligence. Economically, socially, and culturally, via investment firms like BlackRock and Vanguard that use financial leverage to coerce all manner of companies, and especially media corporations, to kowtow to their well-intentioned but wholly mechanical ESG and DEI mandates. Look to the decimation of our modern myths, from Star Wars and Lord of the Rings to Star Trek and Marvel. The very universe that gave us a clue decades ago, warning us of the crisis facing humanity's evolutionary potential and the only way forward. The X-Men hold a special place in the hearts of fans. The ongoing saga of a race of mutants struggling to make their way in a world populated by legacy humans resonates with deep allegorical truth. Despite possessing the Mutant X gene and similar powers, the mutants split into two camps. The X-Men proper, led by Charles Xavier, seek peaceful coexistence for all humanity. The second camp is led by Magneto, whose superiority complex and repeated bouts of human intolerance rejects peaceful coexistence outright in favor of domination and at times even genocide. Just as Magneto believes he is fighting for a righteous cause, the elite ruling classes, families, cabals, and their leaders have sought to dominate and rule humanity for millennia. While it is debatable how many among them possess genuine trinary knowledge, abilities, and strength, it is undeniable they wield tremendous worldly power, and that they are actively leveraging their power and influence on an unprecedented scale globally. In their eyes, human nature justifies the need to curtail freedoms and reign over the global populace as a shepherd does unruly sheep. If only they knew the desire to control is born of the most primal of all mechanistic natures, fear, they might awaken to the truth. No cog in any machine has true power. It only gets greased, pun intended. Speaking of getting greased by machines, in the movie Days of Future Past, the X-Men face annihilation at the hands of Sentinels, giant robots that hunt mutants to the brink of extinction. So, Wolverine goes back in time to rally and unite the X-Men of the past to put an end to the mechanical threat at a key moment in history, and thereby save their future. It is a near-perfect allegory for today. In the film, the human leaders turn to Dr. Bolivar Trask and his anti-mutant weapon systems. In our world, the global elite are turning to anti-humanist systems, from ESG and DEI to centrally controlled digital technologies and artificial intelligence. In life, as in art, the outcome is the same. The X-Men's extinction at the hands of mechanical sentinels signifies the sabotage of Human 3.0 by mechanicity and binary duality, and the termination of humanity's only genuine chance to evolve. If art mirrors life, shouldn't there be a Wolverine here and now sent by Charles Xavier to rally and unite all those vying for a better future under the banner of Human 3.0? There is. But at present, these real-life X-Men do not have the benefits of a Xavier family fortune to finance their mission, that includes recruiting those elites whose faculties surpass that of the typical Human 2.0. That is why this October, Atlas Conscious Arts is launching a crowdfunding campaign, a 10 for Human 3.0, to reach out to the movers, shakers, and decision makers and show them how to upgrade the legacy systems of binary Human 2.0 with the state-of-the-art trinary upgrade in support of Human 3.0, the true human being. Just as Charles Xavier uses his family fortune to attract, guide, and inspire the X-Men to solve the greatest challenges facing humanity, so too Atlas Conscious Arts will use the funds it raises in this campaign to attract individuals with abilities and resources inspired by our vision to build an arc and an arch to take us from where we are, dreaming in myth, sci-fi, and fantasy, to the days of future past, when true human beings built pyramids, walked on water, traversed dimensions, and more. But who are we exactly, and how do we plan to succeed in our mission to empower Human 3.0? We are a small but dedicated team of social entrepreneurs with decades of consulting, marketing, branding, and communications experience, who receive this calling directly from our innermost being in the supernal dimensions. We have dedicated our lives to this, our calling, and it is no part-time pursuit. Reaching the most influential, powerful, and resourceful individuals, organizations, and their advisors is a full-time job for a team dedicated to seeing the vision of Human 3.0 realized. Our core team is lined up and ready to make Atlas Conscious Arts their sole work in life. To help us get underway, all we're asking for is a 10 for Human 3.0. If you have more to give, we won't turn down your generosity, but a 10 for Human 3.0 is not too much to ask, all things considered. Your $10 donation gives you instant access via digital download to the book What in Hell is With Us, written by Atlas Conscious Arts founder and resident Charles Xavier, Attlas Alex. The book provides a great deal more background into the origins of Atlas, mechanical nature's role in contemporary phenomena behind the great awakening of humanity, and the practical imperatives necessitating the shift to higher consciousness. With an introduction written by resident Wolverine, Attila Louis Lenvi, and part 1 focused on his personal transformation into leader of the X-Men, the book is a practical guide for all those who seek the keys to Human 3.0. Paperback and signed hardcover copies are available at higher tiers of support. Full details at atlas.ca. All proceeds from a 10 for Human 3.0 will pay our marketing, communication, and travel expenses in an all-out effort to connect with and win allies among creators, influencers, elites, scientists, government bodies, and their advisors, to bring their voices and considerable resources to bear on the collective enterprise at hand, upgrading legacy Human 2.0 systems to those empowering Human 3.0. With an emphasis on the highly visible and influential technology, media, and entertainment industries ravaged by the woke culture wars, we will demonstrate the power and potential of the trinary human paradigm via real-world case studies. More than merely providing proof of concept for skeptics and naysayers, Atlas Conscious Arts projects must give the young and young at heart a reason to hope again, Empower all who still carry a spark of childlike wonder and enthusiasm with the analogous ultimate methodology to kindle that inner spark. And more, inspire them to call forth lightning from within, to shock and awe the world with a strength and intensity that only Human 3.0 can deliver. And inspire others to rise up out of the darkness of division and unite as the greatest generation this humanity has ever known. It is time for us to be more than just fans of the X-Men. It is time for humanity to truly evolve, to claim our birthright as true human beings, and for those of us who were born Gen X to ignite the torch of genuine leadership and lead the charge to Human 3.0. Will you join the ranks so the world can marvel at Atlas Conscious Arts and our super efforts to kindle hope humanity so desperately needs right now? Click the link in the video description, learn more at atlas.ca, and give a 10 for Human 3.0 today. Thank you for your attention and your support.